Senator Hawley, thanks for coming on the program. First of all, give the American people a little bit of your background.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be with you. You know, I grew up in rural Missouri, small town, and I mean small, Mark. It's about 4,800 people is where I grew up. And then I went to Catholic high school and then on to college and law school. I am a lawyer. Don't hold that against me. Met my wife in law school. We worked together actually at the United States Supreme Court, and they got married. And my background is in constitutional law. I was a constitutional litigator with a particular focus on religious liberty and the First Amendment. And then I was Attorney General of the state of Missouri, and I got elected to the U.S. Senate just 2 short years ago. So it's been a fast ride. I'll tell you, to me, the most important thing in my life, besides my wife, Erin, we've been married now for 10.5 years. We've got 3 little kids at home. We've got 2 boys, and just a couple of months ago, we welcomed our first daughter. So our household's a pretty busy place.
That's wonderful. Now, Senator, AOC and Tlaib and Presley and others on the Democrat side in the House, it appears they can say just about anything they want to say to about anybody. They can make these outrageous allegations about this country. They can make outrageous allegations about their colleagues. Honestly, they can make outrageous allegations about the state of Israel, for which there's no pushback, for which their colleagues don't seek any kind of recrimination whatsoever. You, sir, have taken on a lot of very powerful interests in Washington, D.C. You are what I would call a populist conservative. You saw the election results. You saw what was happening in the election, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but among other things, you bring up Pennsylvania. Now, in Pennsylvania, you had a rogue state Supreme Court and a governor and a Secretary of State, my state, I'm well familiar with this, who changed the election law in the state in violation of Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the United States Constitution. That matter was taken to the U.S. Supreme Court. It was taken up twice by Associate Justice Sam Alito, who ordered the Secretary of State to segregate ballots. That case is still sitting in the U.S. Supreme Court. That's one of the issues that you wanted to raise on January 6th. It is a legitimate issue, unlike Russia collusion and so forth. And for this and for some other issues you raised, you are being accused of inciting an insurrection against your own country. You're being accused of supporting a violent uprising against the Capitol building. And I want to give you a few minutes to respond to this without interruption. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, thank you for that. You know, first of all, I'll just say that those people out there who say that what I did and Senator Cruz and the 140 House Republicans who objected, in my case, I objected, as you say, to the state of Pennsylvania in order to have a debate about election integrity, in order to make sure that we get legislation that is passed. I think we need election reforms. I think we need to ban ballot harvesting. I think we need to take a hard look at how the mail-in balloting was administered in many of these states, including Pennsylvania, which did not follow their own law, as you just alluded to. And what the liberals have said is because you did that, you effectively incited violence. That's a lie. They know it's a lie. They said you wanted to overturn the election. That's a lie. They know that it's a lie. They said that, you know, it's equivalent to a violent insurrection, the objection you raised. That's a lie. The truth is, Mark, that Democrats, after Republicans won the White House, Democrats every single time raised objections to various states in the Electoral College in 2001, in 2005, in 2017. And you know what? They're permitted to do so. The Constitution and the laws and the rules of Congress allow them to do so. But it's perfectly legitimate when Republicans do the same thing for legitimate reasons, which is what I did and Senator Cruz and other senators and representatives. So I think what we're seeing now is an attempt by the left to lie about our motivations, to lie about our actions in order to grab power. They want to silence dissent. They want to silence me. And I tell you right now, I am not going to back down before a liberal mob.
And you know, Senator, you're exactly right. You see the kind of repression that's taking place now. Simon & Schuster, my publisher, was your publisher, Sean Hannity's publisher, Tucker Carlson's publisher. They went out of their way to cut your arrangement with them, and you went to Regnery, my prior publisher, and good for them. They're going to publish your book. Your book is a a rational book about the Constitution. There's nothing insightful in that whatsoever. But when you watch MSNBC and CNN and you listen to the language that's used by the hosts and the guests comparing President Trump to Hitler, you read the Philadelphia Inquirer the other day, there's an op-ed piece. Well, of course you can mention Trump in the same context as Hitler and the Third Reich. The things that are said by the left are so contemptible, and yet they never incite anything, apparently. When we come back, here's my question to you. You see now, as you point out, this poison spreading. It's publishers, it's newspapers, it's big tech. And big tech is really exercising enormous power on behalf of the left and the Democrat Party and against people who disagree with it. Twitter, Facebook, Google, and all the rest. What can we do about that? And if the Democrat Party doesn't want to do anything about it, since it benefits from this, really, where do we go next? Because you can see this oligopoly has worked to destroy the best it can. Parler, Rumble, other entrepreneurs out there trying to create competition. It's a complicated question, I know. And I'll give you plenty of time to answer when we come back. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Senator Josh Hawley. Well, what do you make of all these attacks on freedom of speech and communication in this country now?
Well, you had it right when you said the oligopoly. What we have is an unprecedented concentration of power by these corporate monopolies working in league with the left. I call them the woke capitalists. You know, they're only interested in capitalism insofar as they can control it and use it to impose their viewpoints on the American public. You know, our founders, they were against monopolies. They really hated monopolies. They were very wary of monopolies, and rightfully so, because when you concentrate power in a few hands, bad things always happen, and that's what's happening now, Mark. You've got these big tech companies who effectively control more and more speech in America. We've seen how they want to use that. They want to shut down conservatives. They want to shut down libertarians. They want to take out competitors like Parler. They want to tell you what you can and cannot say. And it's not just the tech companies. It's also the corporate monopolies in other areas. You know, we've had corporate monopolies have come after me and said that I'm not welcome to do political events on their properties. They've gone after other small business people and said, we're going to boycott you if you support conservatives or if you support Senator Hawley or people like that. So you've got unprecedented monopoly power working with big government in the left, and we've got to break it up. You ask what do we do about it? We break it up. We've got to break up the monopolies. This is why we have antitrust law. You know, antitrust is a very conservative principle, conservative populist principle. When we wrote most of those laws over a century ago, it's very in tune with our founding. We've got to break up that concentrated power and return power to the people.
And you know what's interesting to me? You talk about the antitrust laws a little over 100 years ago, the first one and others, and they broke up Standard Oil and they broke up other companies and so forth that don't have nearly the power of these big tech companies. And we used to use phrases like robber barons, which we don't use anymore. These are robber barons. These are people who are stealing our speech, who are undermining our constitutional system from the outside. And the problem is, Senator, I'm concerned that we have one party or one ideology that doesn't much mind it because it's serving their purposes, much like Joe Biden signing one executive order after another like he's some kind of a monarch, substituting his ideas for the legislative process, much like the Democrat leader in the Senate who's trying to figure out ways to get around the other 50 Republican senators, trying to figure out ways to corrupt the Supreme Court, and I could go on and on and on. We're dealing with a different animal now, aren't we, in the Democrat Party in the ideology that they're pushing?
We really are. We're dealing with a party now that loves the idea of concentrated power, that loves the idea of power gathered into a few hands. I mean, they really are. They're the party of the powerful. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They are the party of the biggest monopoly corporations. They're the party of big tech. They're the party of Hollywood, of course, and have been for years. But this is the party, the Democrats, they love what tech is doing. When tech destroyed Parler, destroyed a competitor, you talk about an antitrust violation, the Democrats cheered them on. They thought that was wonderful. When tech is out there censoring conservatives, kicking them off the platform, they thought that's wonderful. They want them to do more. What they basically want to do is use these corporations as the hand of government. They basically want to have the corporations go out and do all the regulation, but of course have none of the accountability. And that's why I say this is something we've really not seen in America before. We've got the most powerful corporations in the history of the world in these tech companies. The Democrats are standing with them shoulder to shoulder. And the solution is the time-honored solution in this country, which is we don't like concentrated power. We always disperse it. We give power to the people. That's what our Constitution is based on, and that's what we need to get back to.
You know, Senator, this past week we saw something that I was very excited about, what I've coined the Reddit revolution. You have these big hedge fund companies in Wall Street. They're deciding which businesses live and die, particularly these retail businesses that are having a tough time. So they go after GameStop, they're going after another, and these young people are saying, wait a minute, they're buying short, let's buy the stock and drive it up. You know, we can do this too, and we'll make money too. And so it starts on Reddit, and it spreads. I know even my kids were involved in it to some extent. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? It's about damn time. What do you think?
Well, I think that it is wonderful to see Wall Street, these big hedge funds, and then the platforms like the Robinhood platform, I think it's called, that collude with them, exposed. And you see the same thing, Mark, the attempted control. I mean, when these day traders, these retail investors start to have a big effect on the market, what do these platforms do? They say, oh, now you can't trade anymore. Now we're going to shut you down. And here's the thing that really gets me. These day traders, these retail investors, they have been subjected to more criticism and more scrutiny by the Wall Street types than the people who single-handedly crashed the financial system in 2008 and then got bailed out by the government. So it is an incredible double standard. They have exposed that double standard. And it goes back to concentrated power, whether it's on Wall Street, whether it's with tech. We need to go after it, and we need to let everyday folks have their share, have their power. That's what the Constitution says, we the people. And that's what we need to be about.
Is Washington what you thought it would be? Is the Senate what you thought it would be when you first ran for office?
You know, I have to say that I think the Senate, as a body, it's an institution that these days just really isn't interested in fulfilling its constitutional responsibilities. Look at Joe Biden right now. He is governing this country by executive order, and the Senate is happy to go along with it. And I have to say, in my short 2 years in Washington, I've just seen the Senate over and over defer, deflect, not do its job. I mean, this is increasingly, we're not governed by elected representatives even anymore. We're governed by bureaucrats. We're governed by orders from the top down. We're governed by unelected administrators. This is a huge constitutional problem. And I think it's time that elected representatives actually did their job, took their oath seriously, and said, I'm actually going to be part of the governing of this country. I'm actually going to stand up for my constituents. I'm not going to let this country be governed by executive fiat.
Senator Hawley, I want to thank you very, very much. Just know there's many people who back what you're trying to do. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.